Hola, ¿cómo estás? Bienvenidos a la clase de español. Hello and welcome everyone to our third virtual Spanish lesson. Abrid los libros y escribid la fecha, jueves, el 18 de junio de 2020 y el título, la hora. Open your books and write in the front of your books the date, jueves, and the title La Hora, which is translated into English as the time. In today's lesson, we are going to continue to learn how to say the time in Spanish. This time, we are going to learn how to say the time to. ¿Qué hora es? I'm sure you are all familiar with this question. And this is the question that we use when we want to ask for the time in Spanish. It is translated into English as what is the time. As I said previously, in today's lesson, we are going to concentrate on the time to. And pay attention to the structure because it's similar to the time past, but we are going to change only one thing. So, to say in Spanish, it is 25 to 3, we are going to say son las 3 menos 25. As you remember, in Spanish, we mention first the o'clock time, son las 3, and then we mention the minutes. This time, because it is 2 to the time o'clock, instead of using E, do you remember that we were using E when expressing the past time? Well, in this time, to express the time to, we are going to use menos. So menos is going to be placed in between the o'clock time, which goes first in the sentence, and the minutes. This is the only thing that you need to remember. To say the time to, we mention first the o'clock time, then menos, which will be translated as 2, and finally the minutes. This time is 25. Muy bien. Now I'm going to ask you to write in the front of your book, son las 3 menos 5, you're going to write this, and next to it, you're going to draw the clock. Now that you know how to make the structure for the time to, can you answer the question, ¿qué hora es? ¿Qué hora es? Do you remember how to say 20 in Spanish? Following the structure, first we mention the o'clock time, then menos, and now we have to say 20. Can you say it? Very good, muy bien. So, it's 20 to 3, son las 3 menos 20. Son las 3 is the o'clock time, menos is the 2, and 20 is the time, is the 20. Very good. Write in the front of your books the clock and the time in Spanish. ¿Qué hora es? Well, the quarter, do you remember the quarter past? It was quite different from 15. We do not say it's 2:15. We say quarter. Okay, so in this case, the quarter to is going to be different as well. You need to remember how to say quarter, and you will be able to say quarter to. Now, can you answer my question? ¿Qué hora es? Do you remember how to say quarter? Muy bien. Son las 3 menos cuarto. So quarter is cuarto. because we are expressing the time to, we are changing the E that we learned previously for the menos. So we have is 2:45, son las 3 menos cuarto. Fantástico. Now you're going to write in the front of your book, son las 3 menos cuarto, and next to it you're going to draw the clock. Can you answer my question now? ¿Qué hora es? It's 10 to 3. Can you answer my question? ¿Qué hora es? Muy bien. Son las 3 menos 10. So las 3 is the o'clock time. Menos is 2. And then 10 is 10. Remember that the structure, it would be like saying first the o'clock time, then the 2, and finally the minutes. We follow the structure that we see here in the clock. First o'clock time, and then minutes. Muy bien. Write in the front of your books, son las 3 menos 10, and draw next to it, next to the sentence, this clock. ¿Qué hora es? I'm going to give you 10 seconds to answer this question. It's 5 to 3. Fantástico, muy bien. Son las 3 menos 5. Son las 3 is the o'clock time, menos is 2, and 5 are the minutes. Fantástico. You're going to draw in the front of your book the clock and write next to it, son las 3 menos 5. Now we have completed the clock. You're finally able to say the time in Spanish. Congratulations! Now that you know the time too in Spanish, I'm going to ask you to fill the second half of the worksheet that you stick in your book. And remember, you're going to write throughout the time from here, from 7 up to 11. The rest you already completed in the previous lesson. Once that you have completed the worksheet, fill in the information with the time too, I'm going to ask you to think of how to say in Spanish morning, afternoon or evening, and night. And can you think where we have seen those words before? I'm going to give you 20 seconds to think about it, and then we are going to share our answers all together. So here we have it. I'm sure you all remembered it. So, in the morning, in Spanish, is de la mañana. For instance, the sentence, it is 10 o'clock in the morning. It's going to be translated into English as, into Spanish as, son las 10 de la mañana. It is 10 o'clock in the morning, son las 10 de la mañana. In the afternoon or in the evening is translated into Spanish as de la tarde. We follow the same structure as de la mañana, but we have changed mañana, which is morning in Spanish, for tarde, which is afternoon or in evening in Spanish. For instance, it is 7:30 in the afternoon. That sentence is translated into Spanish as son las 7:30 de la tarde. It is 7:30 in the afternoon, son las 7:30 de la tarde. And finally, at night is translated into Spanish as de la noche. Again, you can see the structure which is repeated in the morning, in the afternoon, at night. We always start with de la, and de la. We only change the moment of the day. Mañana is morning, tarde is afternoon or evening, and noche is night. The last example. It is 10 o'clock at night. Son las 10 de la noche. It is 10 o'clock at night. Son las 10 de la noche. I am going to ask you to write in the front of your book this vocabulary, and next to it you're going to write one sentence with de la mañana, just as I have done. Son las 10 de la mañana, it is 10 o'clock in the morning. Another sentence with de la tarde, son las 7:30 de la tarde, it is 7:30 in the afternoon. And another one for de la noche, it is 10 o'clock at night. Son las 10 de la noche. It's time to put into practice these contents. I'm going to ask you to translate these 3 sentences into Spanish. Remember to write your answers in the back of your books. I am going to give you 2 minutes to write your answers. You can start now. Remember that you can take your book as many times as you need. Alright, it's time to take the answers. Number 1, it is 4 o'clock in the morning. Son las 4 de la mañana. It is 4 o'clock in the morning. Son las 4 de la mañana. Number 2, it is 8:30 at night. Son las 8:30 de la noche. It is 8:30 at night. Son las 8:30 de la noche. And number 3. It is 5 to 4 in the afternoon. Son las 4 menos 5 de la tarde. It is 5 to 4 in the afternoon. Son las 4 menos 5 de la tarde. Muy bien. I'm sure you all got all the sentences right. Time to practice the time now with a listening activity. I'm going to ask you to write in the back of your books numbers from 1 to 9. Because I will be saying 9 times, which are the ones marked by these 9 clocks. So when listening to my voice, you need to look at these clocks. What you have to do is to write next to the number the letter of the clock that is marking that time. And I'm going to show you an example. This example, I will be saying 1. Son las 3:10. 1. Son las 3:10. As you can see, number 1 is marking this time, the time of the clock E. That is why next to 1 I wrote E. I'm going to repeat each time twice, and remember to write it in the back of your book. Then I'm going to show you the answers. I'm going to start with number 2 because 1 we already have it. 1 is E. 2. Son las 6 menos 25. 2. Son las 6 menos 25. 3. Son las 3 menos 20. 3. Son las 3 menos 20. 4. Son las 7 y 5. 4. Son las 7 y 5. 5. Son las 11 menos 5. 5. Son las 11 menos 5. 6. Son las 4 y 20. 6. Son las 4 y 20. 7. Son las 2 y 25. 7. Son las 2 y 25. 8. Son las 10 menos 10. 8. Son las 10 menos 10. 9. Son las 9 menos 20. 9. Son las 9 menos 20. All right. Remember that you can listen as many times as you need this listening. Now I'm going to show you the answers. Here you have the answers. Take your time to correct yours. You are now able to answer the question, ¿Qué hora es? In Spanish. And you all know that we start our answer with son las. ¿Qué hora es? Son las 5. What is the time? It is 5. But what if we want to say at and a time? Well, we are going to use a las because, pay a lot of attention, a las is translated into English as at. And then we add the time that we want because son las is translated into into English as it is. Here we have an example. I listen to music at 5 p.m. Can you translate this sentence? Remember that at is translated into Spanish as a las. I'm going to give you 10 seconds to translate this sentence into Spanish. And here is the answer. Muy bien. Escucho música a las 5. I listen to music at 5. It doesn't matter what's the time. Imagine that we want to say I listen to music at 8:30 in the morning. We are going to translate this sentence as escucho música a las, 8:30 de la mañana. I listen to music at 8:30 in the morning. Escucho música a las 8:30 de la mañana. Wonderful. I'm going to ask you to write this grammar explanation with the example in the front of your books. Once that you're done writing this in the front of your books, I'm going to ask you to practice this point with this activity. Can you write one sentence of your own using the leisure activities that we have seen in other units? For instance, canto karaoke a las 10 de la noche. I sing karaoke at 10 at night. I'm going to ask you to write 3 sentences in the back of your books. This is the plenary of today's lesson. I'm going to ask you to write the following sentences in Spanish. These are the sentences that you must write in Spanish. I play football at 7:15 in the morning. I swim at 6 in the afternoon. And I listen to music at 12:03 in the morning. You have to use a time phrase that you have already learned. For instance, todos los días, every day, todos los martes, every Tuesday, todos los fines de semana, every weekend. You're going to place the time phrase at the beginning of the sentence. I have had it added here. Add a time phrase of your own, and then you're going to translate the sentence. Here the same. Add a time phrase of your own, and then you translate the sentence, I swim at 6 in the afternoon. And in the last sentence, the same. Here is an example. Every Monday, I study music at 1 o'clock. Todos los lunes, estudio música a la 1. Remember to write your answers in the back of your books. And here is your challenge. Can you say what other people do at certain times? Instead of repeating all the time what you do, you can say, my brother plays football at the time that you want. Or my mom cooks at the time that you want. So, unfortunately, this is the end of the lesson. I hope that you enjoyed, and I'm looking forward to see you all in the next virtual lesson. A lot of kisses and adios!